when you find yourself in an unknown environment where the other person doesn't understand your language, when you try to purchase food and the language that the seller is speaking is different from your language, then there are options that are available. You can either use a Google translator and be carrying it on your phone. You text your own words and you translate it to the language of the receiver, and the receiver text their response and you translate it to the language that you can understand, and then you keep doing the back and forth, and then you are able to get to your goal. But it takes time to it makes it easier when you just walk up to somebody and you speak the same language and they get you, they connect with you right off, and both of you are able to achieve your goal. You're able to buy what you want to buy from them, and they're able to make the business that they are trying to get out of you. It just makes things easier when you are able to communicate using the right tools, using the right language, and get what you want. And that thought kind of fits into other ways, other areas, other situations where we need to use our words. And in this video, I want to talk about how to turn your thoughts into words, how to express your thoughts in a clear way. So you want to think about thoughts as a system of different layers going on in our brain and in our mind. So when you look at your thoughts can be in form of words. So words can be in your thoughts, and you can be thinking about that word and looking at different meaning of that word. Take for instance the word courage. And as soon as you start thinking about the word courage, different images can start dropping in your mind. And then you start thinking about all these people who have shown courage at one instance or at some point in their life. And it starts flicking these images through the mind of your brain or the eyes of your brain. And then you start thinking, and as you're thinking through those images, you will start feeling a certain way around those people that are coming into your thoughts in terms of how they show boldness in a certain situation, and you will begin to realize that your thoughts as images, your thoughts as words, and your thoughts as feelings. So when we now have thoughts in our mind, and then we want to try to kind of move those thoughts into meaningful communication and engage with people to get some certain things done or to influence people in a certain way, we will realize that when you don't know how to communicate effectively, you are not going to be able to get things done for others and get to achieve your own goals too. So communication is very, very key to growth in life, in business, in leadership, in relationship. A lot of times we have all these thoughts, all these feelings, all these images that we have built up over time based on all the different information that we have picked from different things, that you are thinking to yourself, I wish my spouse would get me in this way. And we're thinking for them, but we're not saying it in words because our thoughts has feelings. So all these layers of thoughts, you have it in your mind. My question is, how do you turn those thoughts into words, and how do you communicate them effectively in a way that you get what you want? And the purpose of this video is to share my own thoughts on how to express yourself clearly. So when it comes to communication or even sharing your thoughts, there are 3 or 4 key elements that you want to keep in mind that could be very formative for your communication. So when you're thinking about communication, you want to think of me. I'm thinking about me, myself. I'm one person. I'm carrying a message, and I am the messenger. and then there is the audience. So you're thinking on the message, I the messenger, and there is the me part of it that is thinking of, oh, how do I say these words in such a way that people like me, or people follow me, or people subscribe to my channel. And you start thinking about the me part, the me, myself and I part. You know, at the beginner level of communication, the me part takes the front stage. But I've quickly realized that the me part doesn't get you far, because when you are communicating and you are focusing on how people perceive you, how people perceive your words, how people perceive what you're saying, whether it makes sense, whether they like you, you would inhibit, or you will hinder, or even water down the impact that your message has when you focus on the me. When you focus on, oh, how do I look? How does my word sound? How does my accent look? How do people like the way I'm recording? By the way, I'm recording this in a car, in a rented car for that matter, because we've been in transit. So if you hear any background noise, kindly pardon the noise. So focusing on me, that is part of focusing on me. I'm thinking to myself that me. But you know what? When I think of myself, I think of the messenger. Because when we want to release a word, people in our own frame of mind, we are the messenger, and we are carrying a message, we're carrying a content that we want to teach our audience, or we want to pass out to people to move them in a particular way or influence them in a particular way. But one thing that you quickly realize is that when you are the messenger and you stand in the way and you don't allow your own personality, your own self to flow through the message, you are going to limit the experience of people who are listening to you, who are following you. And there are times that I've seen myself in that situation where I'm prepping for what I was going to say so much, and I'm prepping myself on how to say it so much that by the time I set up to say it in front of the camera, it doesn't connect with my audience. It doesn't connect with the people, because I am just focusing on getting the message out, bullet point 1, bullet point 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and done. Sometimes when you focus on the messenger, that's how you sound. You just want to get the message out there, bullet point 1, 2, 3. And then another layer of communication is the message. The things that you want people to hear from what you want to say. Like today's message, I'm talking about becoming effective communicator, right? That's the message. I want to be able to influence people to become better in the way they communicate in their relationship, better in the way they communicate in their leadership, in their business, because communication is how you move people to act in a certain way. We've seen people like Winston Churchill, who with his words move the whole England to do things in a certain way, shifted policy, because they know how to communicate and move people. So communication is very, very essential. In relationship, it's very essential. But one essential part that I have tried to tell myself not to forget in all this piece of communication, the me, the messenger, the message, is that I have audience who are listening to me. I have audience, people who want to hear my own frame of mind, my own feeling about that topic, who want to hear my own image about that topic, who want to hear my own words, my own vocabulary around that topic. They want me to say it as it feels to me. So when I'm thinking and I'm communicating, you want to focus on your audience. What do you want them to take out? And I am thinking about this even in real life, because even for myself, I am still learning to become better in my communication. And this video that I'm recording is to share my lesson, and feel free to drop your own lesson in the comments around how to communicate effectively. But one thing that I am beginning to realize is that when you focus on your audience and you reach that stage, that platform where you are communicating from, and you just want to help people, you just want to solve a problem, you just want people to get over themselves and get to achieve something meaningful with their world, you will begin to move out of me, the me part, the messenger part. How do I look? How does my voice sound? You will get out of the messenger part. You know, when I was still in the me part, I will be thinking to myself, my voice sounds deep, how can I sound better and sonorous? You know, I will be thinking, I'm just being honest here, guys. You know, I'll be thinking to myself, oh, how can I make my voice sound so slow and pace myself? But there is the person, my personality is also part of my communication, and that has to come to life. I have to stand in my own authentic self in order to be able to communicate and connect to my audience. You know, people communicate and connect at eye level. The things that get people to connect with you is eye level. There is a biofeedback. You know, when you are open and you are not shrinking yourself, and you are open, you sit back, it shows confidence, it shows openness, it shows that you are passionate and you are confident about the topic you're speaking about. You know, when you smile and then you laugh and you talk some jokes in between, it shows warmness and it can help connect to your audience. So for me, I'm thinking in terms of all this getting over myself. Yeah, it's not easy to get over yourself, because there are times that people want you to they want you to tell them your own story. There are times like that. I mean, the How platform is a page that I have set up to share about life journey using lessons from the Bible and from other people, including myself. So there are times that I share my own story, and that is okay when it comes to communication, because when you share your story, it allows those people to connect with you. People love storytellers, they enjoy hearing story, and you are taking people on a journey, and sometimes the journey is going fast, you're going fast through your key points, you're going fast, and sometimes you slow down. It's part of it. So I would quickly share with you things, the P's I'm focusing on when I'm communicating these days. And I want you to know that some of these P's that I'm sharing may work for you, and there are times that you may find out you have to drop all the P's and just stand in your own one P, and it will work for you. So don't think of this as a formula that you need to do every time. As much as you move up in your communication, you will realize what works for you. That is the goal, to go with your own rhythm, so that you get to a level where you take your audience on a journey like a cruise, and they follow you, and you bring them down to a destination that makes them want to act on your message. So for me, the first P that I focus on is the purpose. You know, what is the purpose of the message? Why am I sharing what I'm sharing? And what do I intend people to take out of this message that I'm sharing? What do I intend people to take out of this information? Because if I'm sharing something and I don't see anybody benefiting from it, there's no point sharing it. It's just me blabbing. That's a waste of time and energy for you and for myself. So you have to think of the purpose. And for me, on the How platform, whatever I do here, I find it to be serving others, to be helping others, become better. So being able to serve from my own authentic place, and being able to be transparent and be focused in my communication is very, very key. So the purpose, the why, and in this video, what I'm sharing, I'm talking about communication, right? The why is that I want you to become better in the way you speak to others. And the second layer of the P is that you want to also tune into your person. There is a way you say things that move people. You want to tune into that your own person. You know, sometimes we want to change our voice, to change our accent, to change our ways of saying things when we want to say it. But I want you to know that there are times that you want to bring your own personality into the conversation, into the words. I recall there was this time I was trying, it was Easter weekend, and I was getting off work, and I wanted to get some protein, some chicken to cook for the Easter weekend for the family. And I know the store would usually close around 5. They will close selling cut chicken to their customers at 5 o'clock. That's their cutoff. You can purchase the chicken after 5, but they won't cut it for you. So I was rushing off work trying to get off to this store, and then I found myself running late, and I got to the front of the produce and dairy area around 4:59, and then I told myself, I don't think they are going to cut my chicken. And the seller walked up to me, the guy that was in front, and he said, "Madam, how can I help you?" I looked him straight in the eye. I smiled and I said, "I would like to have some cut chicken. Would you be able to help me?" He smiled back and said, "How many chicken do you want?" I want you to replay that. I tuned into my own person. I smiled. I lowered my voice, and I told him what I would like him to do. I was very clear on what I would like. So at that point, he clearly understand how to serve me, because I already communicated what I would like people to do for me. I told him I would like to have some cut chicken with a smile. I wasn't being arrogant about it. I smiled and I lowered my voice. I didn't raise my voice. I lowered my voice, and he said, "How many?" That was how I got my way. You want to tune into your person. If you're the type of person that it doesn't work for you to talk fast, then slow down. Like, there are times when I hear some speakers and some leaders, when they are talking, and they are talking in a conversation way, I would tell myself, how can I try this? And please tell me how I'm doing, because that is what I'm trying in this video. Tune into your person, like you're talking to a friend, like you're talking to your best friend sitting in front of you. How do you tell them how they can become better in their communication and be able to communicate their thoughts clearly? The third thing is your passion. Your passion is your energy. Attention goes where there is energy. Whenever there is an attention, people are dropping energy on it. And whenever energy flows, there is an opportunity to make money. So when you think about passion, passion is energy. When people are passionate about what you're saying, or when you, the messenger, is passionate about what you're saying, you can connect to your audience, because we connect at a high level. So when I'm talking about this communication, I really want to be able to communicate with people, to communicate with children and adults and leaders and thought leaders in a way that they can get me what I want. So being able to communicate with passion, with energy, it's very, very important. There are speakers like Jordan Peterson, who would even cry in front of the camera while he's trying to communicate his mind, while he's trying to communicate his message. You will see leaders who would speak fast because their passion is kind of taking all over them. And there are times that you have to realize that when you are communicating with passion, there are times you forget to smile. And passion is an energy that brings life to your voice. So it's very, very important to use it during communication. And I'm trying to tune into my own passion now. I mean, to me, sometimes I will forget to smile because of the topic that I'm talking about. I'm so passionate about growth, about people having a healthy lifestyle, living mindfully and becoming all that God has called them to be. And I'm trying to say it with all the seriousness, and sometimes I will forget to laugh or smile in the video. But that is part of the passion. And the people who are following you and following the message, they understand your passion. And that passion is a connector that will allow people to connect with you and that will allow them to be influenced by your voice. Another P that it's important when it comes to communication is using pauses. You pause. It's important to remember to pause, to use those comma, the periods, and smile. I was listening to this podcast and I learned that there was a question that an audience asked the late Steve Jobs during an interview. And Steve paused for 4 minutes only to respond with 3 sentences. Pauses are essential for effective communication. In your pauses, you pace the flow of your thoughts. In your pauses, you are able to put words around the images coming into your thoughts. In your pauses, you are able to find the right feeling, the right expression of the feeling that is coming as you are processing that thought. And that is very, very important. You don't want to stand in the way of your message. You want to allow it to get you to the point where you take your audience on a journey, where they are following you on a journey and you're driving them and you're going with them on that journey and you're driving them to the point where they follow you strongly, and then you bring them to a peaceful state of conclusion. The pauses are very important element to effective communication. I want you to know how we can support you in your communication in the comments. Thank you for watching this video. This is Yewande. This is the How platform, and see you in the next video.